Get up there and get yourself. Okay, you got it.
On an undisclosed date, officers from the Fort Smith Police Department in Arkansas initiated a high-speed pursuit of a suspect vehicle. What began as a routine traffic enforcement quickly escalated into a dangerous chase through city streets and highways, raising critical questions about pursuit policies, public safety, and split-second decision-making under pressure. The pursuit involved multiple units, covered several miles through populated areas, and placed numerous civilians at risk. This footage was obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request and provides a rare opportunity to examine the legal and tactical considerations that officers must weigh when deciding whether to initiate, continue, or terminate a vehicle pursuit. Hear the instruction, get up there, and get yourself, suggesting coordination between multiple units. At this early stage of the pursuit, officers are establishing their positions and attempting to gain tactical advantage. Under Arkansas law, police officers have the authority to pursue vehicles that fail to stop for lawful traffic enforcement. However, this authority is not unlimited. Arkansas Code, Section 5, 54-125, classifies fleeing from law enforcement as a felony when the flight creates a substantial risk of serious physical injury. The question that will run throughout this entire incident is whether the officer's decision to continue this pursuit was reasonable given the evolving threat to public safety. At approximately 1 minute 17 seconds into the footage, we hear an officer ask, "What sort of thing did you get from China?" This brief exchange suggests there may have been prior contacts or intelligence about the suspect, vehicle that is not captured in this footage. In pursuit situations, the information available to officers at the time of their decision-making is legally critical. The Supreme Court established in Graham v. Connor that the reasonableness of an officer's actions must be judged from the perspective of a reasonable officer on the scene, not with the benefit of hindsight. Any intelligence about the suspect's identity, the vehicle's connection to prior crimes, or the reason for the initial stop will significantly impact the legal analysis of whether continuing this pursuit was justified. 2 minutes 18 seconds into the pursuit, an officer reports there's a northbound, indicating the suspect's direction of travel. This type of continuous communication is essential in multi-unit pursuits. Pursuit policies typically require constant radio communication to keep dispatch and other units informed of location speed, traffic conditions, and any changes in the threat assessment. The International Association of Chiefs of Police recommends that pursuit policies require supervisory approval to continue high-speed chases, particularly when they enter populated areas or exceed certain speed thresholds. Notice that throughout this footage, we hear regular updates about location and direction, suggesting the department is following proper communication protocols. At 4 minutes 27 seconds, an officer reports just passing on the shoulders, indicating the suspect is using the road shoulder to evade police. We then hear running about, suggesting erratic and dangerous driving behavior. The officer's comment, "I can't get beside him right now," reveals an important tactical consideration. Officers may be attempting to position for what's known as a pit maneuver, or a position immobilization technique, where a pursuit vehicle makes contact with the fleeing vehicle's rear quarter panel to cause it to spin out. However, PIT maneuvers carry significant risks, particularly in areas with other traffic or at high speeds. Many departments restrict PIT maneuvers to specific circumstances and require supervisory approval. The officer's inability to get into position may actually be fortunate, as attempting a PIT in heavy traffic could result in collisions involving innocent motorists.
They're coming up on me at the bar, I can't get beside him right now. The traffic's clear.
At 6 minutes 14 seconds, we hear, "We're 13, what you doing?" This appears to be communication between units, with Unit 13 being questioned about their tactical position. In multi-unit pursuits role, clarity is essential. Typically, one unit serves as the primary pursuit vehicle, while others take supporting positions. The primary unit maintains close contact with the suspect vehicle and provides real-time updates. Secondary units position themselves to cut off escape routes, deploy tire deflection devices, or take over as primary if the original pursuit vehicle needs to break off. This radio traffic suggests the coordination required to safely manage a pursuit involving multiple officers across what appears to be a significant geographic area. communication reveals a critical escalation in risk. The officer reports that civilian vehicles are moving into his path and traffic is becoming more congested. This is precisely the type of evolving danger that pursuit policies are designed to address. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reports that approximately 300 people die each year in pursuit-related crashes, and roughly 40% of those killed are innocent third parties. When traffic density increases, the mathematical probability of a collision rises exponentially. Many modern pursuit policies require officers to terminate the chase when the danger to the public outweighs the need to immediately apprehend the suspect, particularly for non-violent offenses. The decision of whether to continue becomes increasingly difficult as conditions deteriorate.
Unfortunately, than they were. 10-4 ahead.
The pursuit continues through Fort Smith city limits. We hear references to Fort Smith 10-8-10-1971, which appear to be unit identifiers and possibly case or call numbers. This administrative detail keeping is important for documentation and later review. Every pursuit should be thoroughly documented to allow for after-action analysis. This documentation serves multiple purposes. It protects officers who acted appropriately, identifies training needs, helps refine department policies, and provides crucial evidence if civil litigation follows. The fact that we're hearing these identifiers suggests proper protocols are being followed for record-keeping even in the midst of this high-stress situation.
You should try to keep getting up there and try to pit him, even if he tries to brake check. You need to get him stopped.
Yeah, I'm doing the best I can, but I try to get up there and he locks me on.
At 7 minutes 16 seconds, we hear strategic planning. So you can try to keep getting up there and try to pin him in the trousers and brake take me to get him stopped. The officer responds, yeah, I'm doing the best I can, but I tried to get up there and he locked me out. This exchange illustrates the tactical chess match occurring at high speed. The pursuing officers are attempting to box in the suspect vehicle, but the suspect is actively countering these maneuvers. The phrase lock me out indicates the suspect is using defensive driving techniques to prevent the police from getting alongside or ahead of the vehicle. This level of evasive skill may suggest prior experience evading law enforcement or advanced driving knowledge, both of which could be relevant to the original reason for the stop.
Coming up on you,
He's going through the line.
At 7 minutes 48 seconds, communication becomes tense. 14, they shouldn't be getting close to you. The response at 8 minutes 8 seconds is pointed. 3:14 is that hard to understand. This exchange reveals mounting frustration and possibly confusion about tactical roles and positioning. In the Supreme Court case, Scott versus Harris decided in 2007, the court addressed the question of when officers may use deadly force to terminate a vehicle pursuit. The court held that when a fleeing suspect poses a grave public danger by driving recklessly at high speeds through populated areas, officers may take actions that create a substantial likelihood of serious injury or death to the suspect. While we don't see deadly force used in this footage, the Scott standard remains relevant because it establishes the framework for evaluating how much risk to the suspect is justified by the public danger created by continuing the pursuit. At 8 minutes 18 seconds, an officer reports he's coming up on the airport thing if you don't turn the light. The pursuit is now approaching the Fort Smith Regional Airport area. Airport zones present unique tactical considerations due to restricted airspace potential for mass casualties if the pursuit enters terminal areas and federal jurisdiction issues. We then hear at 8 minutes 45 an officer use profanity saying, "Fucking gender bro," followed by what sounds like frustration about a vehicle or person backing out. High-stress situations often lead to emotional language, and while professionalism is always preferred, courts generally understand that split-second decisions made under extreme pressure may be accompanied by language that wouldn't be acceptable in calmer circumstances. The legal focus remains on the actions taken, not the words used during the heat of the moment. At 9 minutes 9 seconds, we hear reports of location. There's a 9-6 right now, there's a northwest. Then, at 9 minutes 40, a critical observation, traffic starting to get a little bit thicker. This assessment is crucial for the decision-making process that should be occurring at supervisory levels. As traffic density increases, the calculus shifts dramatically. The risk of injury to innocent motorists grows while the likelihood of safely apprehending a suspect decreases. Many progressive pursuit policies implement what's called a pursuit matrix that weighs factors like traffic density, speed, weather conditions, time of day, and the severity of the original offense. If this pursuit began with a minor traffic violation, the justification for continuing through increasingly heavy traffic becomes much harder to defend legally and tactically.
I'm going to get the leg up.
Officers continue providing location updates. 201 coming up on 0th Street. The suspect is clearly familiar with the area and is using this knowledge to his advantage. At 10 minutes 3 seconds, the officer reports, "Okay, he's not letting me get over to the other side." The suspect is successfully blocking attempts to maneuver into tactical positions. This continued cat-and-mouse pattern demonstrates that the suspect has no intention of stopping voluntarily and is skilled enough to counter police tactics. From a legal standpoint, this escalates the seriousness of the offense. What may have begun as a traffic violation has now become felony fleeing, and the extended duration of the pursuit with active evasion could support enhanced charges under Arkansas law. The question remains whether the benefit of immediate apprehension justifies the mounting public safety risk. At 10 minutes 17 seconds, we hear, "Hey, I was trying to get up there to keep you from blocking your 14, that didn't work." This reveals attempted coordination that failed. In complex pursuits, units can inadvertently interfere with each other's positioning, creating dangerous situations, or allowing the suspect escape routes. The response at 10:23, "Yeah, I'm trying to just keep it," suggests an officer is focused on maintaining visual contact, rather than attempting aggressive maneuvers. This may reflect good tactical judgment if conditions have deteriorated to the point where maintaining surveillance while backing off slightly is safer than continuing aggressive pursuit tactics. Some departments implement a follow-at-a-distance approach when pursuits become too dangerous, using helicopters or GPS tracking when available, rather than maintaining dangerous high-speed close pursuit. At 10 minutes 33, an officer reports, "I'm back in the lead and we're going to a speed of 0 speed," indicating they've regained a tactical position. Then, at 11 minutes 7 seconds, comes a critical warning, red light, red light. The suspect is running a red light, one of the most dangerous maneuvers in a pursuit. Intersection crashes during pursuits are particularly deadly because they often involve T-bone collisions at high speed with vehicles whose occupants have no warning and no ability to take evasive action. The Supreme Court in Scott v. Harris specifically noted that running red lights and stop signs was evidence of the grave public danger posed by a fleeing suspect. Each intersection the suspect runs exponentially increases the probability of a catastrophic collision.
We crashed out here right in front of Ben Gary.
Location updates continue as the pursuit covers significant distance. There's a 940 Street headed towards Barlow at 11:20, followed by I'm at 140, just past the Lake Parkway at 11:46. The pursuit has now covered multiple jurisdictions and numerous city blocks. Extended pursuits create fatigue for all involved. Officer fatigue can lead to degraded decision-making and slower reaction times. Adrenaline sustained over long periods affects cognitive function. This is why some progressive departments have time limits on pursuits requiring supervisory reassessment every few minutes, and potentially mandating termination of pursuits that exceed a certain duration without successful resolution. The human factors involved in sustained high-stress driving are well documented and should be part of any comprehensive pursuit policy. At 12 minutes 48, we're here, going ahead and starting a mess, suggesting some form of interdiction is beginning. At 12:54, playing on the highway getting stopped. Then at 13 minutes 3, hey, he's getting stopped in it. The pursuit is reaching its conclusion. The phrasing getting stopped rather than stopped indicates this is an active, ongoing process. We don't have visual confirmation from this audio-only transcript of exactly how the vehicle was stopped, whether through a successful PID maneuver, tire deflation devices, the suspect voluntarily stopping, or a collision. The method of termination will be crucial to the legal and tactical evaluation. If officers use force to end the pursuit, that force will be analyzed under the Scott v. Harris framework, balancing the danger posed by the continued flight against the risk created by the termination method chosen. At 30 minutes 22, an officer states, "Fortunately, we crashed out here right in front of Ben Gary." The word crashed is concerning and requires careful analysis. This could mean the suspect vehicle crashed, ending the pursuit through a collision, or it could be law enforcement terminology for "we ended up here" without implying an actual crash. The location reference to Ben Gary helps establish where the pursuit concluded. If there was indeed a collision, multiple questions arise. Was anyone injured? Was the collision the result of officer action, such as a pit maneuver or a roadblock, or did the suspect lose control independently? Did the collision involve other vehicles or property? These details would significantly impact both the criminal charges against the suspect and any potential civil liability review of the officer's tactics. The word "fortunately" suggests the officer views this outcome as positive, possibly indicating no serious injuries occurred. The instructions given here are tactically sound for a post-pursuit apprehension. The supervisor is directing units to secure the vehicle immediately, regardless of minor obstacles like bicycles in the area. The phrase, "I don't care if his bike taking you," likely means don't let minor obstructions delay the stop. The instruction to just pull him over as soon as you're there emphasizes immediate control of the situation before the suspect can flee on foot or present other dangers. The closing "I think you" maintains professional courtesy even in this high-stress moment. Once the pursuit vehicle stops, whether voluntarily or through force, officers face a critical transition from vehicular pursuit to potential foot pursuit or armed confrontation. This moment requires clear communication, defined roles, and careful approach tactics to safely take the suspect into custody, while maintaining officer safety and controlling the scene. Following the stop, we hear various unit identifiers and radio traffic, including present here on the hill at 1452 numerical codes like 27 + 9, 10, 80, 27, 7, 100 at 1507, and instructions about traffic control 30, 30, and 4, hold the traffic till the speed, and traffic at 1554. This administrative radio traffic represents the post-incident phase, where units are securing the scene, documenting the incident, managing traffic around the stopped vehicles, and beginning the arrest process. Proper scene management after a pursuit is crucial to preserve evidence, ensure everyone's safety, allow for medical attention if needed, and begin the detailed documentation that will be essential for prosecution and any administrative review. The multiple unit numbers we hear suggest a significant law enforcement response, which is typical for the conclusion of a major pursuit. Based on the available audio evidence from this pursuit, we can now evaluate the performance of the involved parties. It's important to know that without complete visual documentation and information about the initial reason for the stop, this analysis must be qualified. However, certain principles apply regardless of those missing details. The Fort Smith Police Department officers receive a grade of B. Here's why. The officers demonstrated several positive aspects throughout this pursuit. Their radio communication was consistent and professional, providing regular updates on location, direction, and conditions. This communication is essential for multi-unit coordination and supervisory oversight. The officers appear to be following established protocols for pursuit documentation using proper unit identifiers and case numbers. When traffic conditions deteriorated, we heard officers acknowledging the increased danger, showing awareness of public safety concerns. The tactical coordination, while not perfect, showed attempts at strategic positioning to safely end the pursuit. Officers maintained their composure throughout an extended high-stress situation, and the ultimate termination of the pursuit appeared to occur without reports of serious injury. However, several concerns prevent the higher grade. First, and most importantly, we lack information about the initial justification for this pursuit. If this began as a minor traffic violation, the decision to continue through increasingly heavy traffic for over 13 minutes raises serious questions about proportionality and adherence to modern pursuit policies. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the International Association of Chiefs of Police both emphasize that pursuits should be terminated when the danger to the public outweighs the need for immediate apprehension, particularly for nonviolent offenses. We heard multiple references to heavy traffic civilian vehicles moving into officers' paths and the suspect running red lights through intersections, all of which are red flags that should trigger serious consideration of termination. Second, there were moments of apparent confusion in unit positioning, with officers blocking each other or unclear about their tactical roles. While some confusion is inevitable in dynamic situations, better pre-planning and clear role assignment could have improved safety and effectiveness. Third, we heard one instance of unprofessional language, which, while understandable given the stress, doesn't meet the high standards of professional conduct. Finally, the pursuit covered a substantial distance over an extended time period, both factors that increase cumulative risk and should trigger policy-level review of whether continuation was justified. The suspect vehicle operator receives a grade of F, and this should surprise no one. The decision to flee from law enforcement transforms what may have been a minor traffic violation into a serious felony. Under Arkansas Code, Section 554.125, fleeing in a vehicle that creates substantial risk of serious injury is a Class D felony, punishable by up to 6 years in prison. Beyond the legal consequences, the moral and ethical dimensions of this choice are clear. The suspect placed countless innocent lives at risk to avoid whatever consequences they feared from the initial stop. Let's be specific about the danger created. The suspect drove at high speeds through populated areas, used the shoulder to evade police, ran at least one confirmed red light at an intersection, drove on the wrong side of the road, and actively employed evasive maneuvers to prevent police from safely stopping the vehicle. Each of these actions individually creates serious risk. Combined and sustained over 13+ minutes and multiple miles, they represent a pattern of conscious disregard for human life that cannot be defended under any circumstances. The Supreme Court in Scott v. Harris specifically addressed this situation, noting that a fleeing motorist who creates grave danger to the public forfeits much of the legal protection they would otherwise enjoy. Even if we assume the most favorable possible circumstances for the suspect, such as an initial stop for a minor violation or even an unjustified stop, the decision to flee in this manner is never justified and never legal. The proper recourse for an improper stop is through the legal system, not through creating a public safety crisis. There are no mitigating factors that can meaningfully improve this grade. Even if the suspect eventually stopped without causing a collision that injured others, that outcome was largely a matter of luck rather than the suspect's choices. By every measure, legal, tactical, moral, and practical, this suspect's actions represent complete failure to meet even the most basic standards of responsible conduct. The Fort Smith Police Department as an institution receives a B+. This grade is based on what we can observe about their pursuit policies, training, and protocols from this footage. On the positive side, the department appears to have clear communication protocols that were followed throughout the pursuit. Officers used consistent radio procedures, provided regular updates, and maintained coordination across multiple units. The response involved appropriate resources without appearing to be excessive. Officers showed awareness of traffic conditions and public safety factors, even if questions remain about how these factors influenced the decision to continue. The department deserves credit if, as it appears, they document pursuits thoroughly for later review. Post-incident analysis is essential for continuous improvement and accountability. The professional demeanor of most communications suggests a culture that emphasizes professionalism even in high-stress situations. The successful conclusion of the pursuit without reported serious injury demonstrates that the officers' training in pursuit tactics had real-world effectiveness. However, the B+, rather than an A, reflects important questions about pursuit policy. Does the Fort Smith Police Department have a modern, comprehensive pursuit policy that incorporates current best practices from the International Association of Chiefs of Police? Does their policy require supervisory approval for pursuits? Does it mandate regular reassessment as conditions change? Does it include clear guidance on when pursuits must be terminated based on factors like traffic density, duration, and offense severity? Without access to their written policies, we cannot definitively answer these questions, but the extended nature of this pursuit through increasingly dangerous conditions raises concerns. Many police departments have reformed their pursuit policies in recent years, after recognizing that the public safety costs of some pursuits exceed the benefits. Some departments now prohibit pursuits for minor traffic violations, require helicopter support when available, or mandate termination after a certain time period, or when traffic reaches dangerous levels. If Fort Smith's policies lack these modern safeguards, there's room for improvement. Additionally, the department should conduct a thorough after-action review of this pursuit to identify lessons learned and training opportunities. The moments of unit confusion suggest that more scenario-based training for multi-unit pursuits could be beneficial. Vehicle pursuits remain one of the most controversial and challenging aspects of modern law enforcement. They require officers to make split-second decisions with incomplete information, while balancing competing priorities, public safety, suspect, apprehension officer safety, and legal constraints. This pursuit demonstrates both the professionalism that officers can maintain under extreme stress, and the difficult questions that persist about when the danger of pursuit exceeds its benefits. As law enforcement agencies continue to refine their policies based on research, technology, and tragic lessons learned, the hope is that future pursuits can be resolved more quickly, more safely, and with better outcomes for everyone involved. What remains constant is that suspects who choose to flee bear the primary moral and legal responsibility for the danger created, while officers and their departments bear the responsibility to operate within constitutional bounds and modern best practices to protect the communities they serve. Let us know if there's an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out our second channel, Audit the Court, for even more police interaction and courtroom content.